Well, I guess you guys have found the 5 minute fantasy football guy, and this is my first broadcast on my YouTube channel. The 5 minutes is more of a guideline. Okay, so we're gonna go over sometimes. So don't blast me too much on the comments about never actually staying under 5 minutes. So this is my first broadcast. I would tell you a little bit about myself. My name is DeMargo Smith, younger brother of Steve Smith of the Carolina Panthers. I am an avid golfer. Played some college golf, some professional events. Um, very involved in fantasy football over the last 10 years. Done a lot of leagues and won a lot of leagues and spent a lot of time around football. So I know quite a bit. You can follow me in the um, ESPN Radio podcast, Fantasy Focus. Just recently was entered into the Man's League, so I hope to do well there to show you guys how good in fantasy football I can really be. So but the reason I'm doing this channel is to help people that like to get into the playoffs, that want to make their playoffs every year. I cannot get you a championship because football is so fickle, and there's so many factors that no one can correctly pick a team and get into their fantasy championship and win the fantasy championship. It's just a little too hard with all the waiver wires and injuries and stuff like that. But I can get you to the playoffs, can help you have a successful draft, and can help you get off to a good start. So that's what I'm here to do, to give you simple, direct fantasy football tips to help you win your league. Okay? So today we'll start by talking about strategies for the snake drafts. Everybody's going to be having a lot of drafts this week, and we'll start with the snake drafts for this segment. Um, as far as snake drafts go, you have to really decide where you want to go, quarterback early or quarterback late. I like to say the top six quarterbacks, you want to get those guys to your fantasy team. I think you're at a disadvantage if you don't have a guy that's going to throw 30 touchdowns, over 3,500 yards, and low interceptions for your team. So you got to get the guy. You got to get Michael Vick or Tom Brady or Philip Rivers, Tony Romo, Drew Brees. Those guys are going to help your team. I say you're at a disadvantage if you don't have them versus the other six guys that do. And I don't mention Peyton Manning because he's not going pretty high in fantasy football drafts. I'm worried about his condition, so might want to stay away from him unless he's at the right spot, maybe the fourth round or something like that. You might want to take him. But draft strategies in the snake drafts. So once you get the quarterback, you got to decide where you want to go. Tony Romo, you can probably get in the second, maybe early third. If you want some of the more the higher quarterbacks that are going pretty early, you're going to have to give up that running back spot. Okay, so if you go running back first, obviously you want to get your quarterback second. But you just got to make the choice, whatever you feel comfortable with. There, either way is fine. Okay. Um, let's see. The less teams in your league, if you're doing an eight team league or a 10 team league, go for the big risk players. Players that are gonna have a lot of upside, but may not be valued as high on most people's lists. Like players like AJ Green, Daniel Thomas, Matthew Stafford. Those players, you can grab those guys because there's going to be guys that's going to get you 5 to 8 points always on the waiver wire with the smaller leagues. You can go for the guy that's going to have like a huge upside. You can go for the rookie that's coming into the league. You can go for the guy that's been put into a new situation. Those are the types of guys you want to look for. Okay. Um, the next thing when you're talking about auction draft, you got to do this. This is every owner should do this and should know this. You print yourself out. You have the top 300 NFL players. Then you go ahead and print out the ADP, which is the average draft position list for your 10-team league or 8-team league or a 12-team league. And what you want to do after you decide where you get your top running back and your top quarterback, after that point, you just take the best player available. Take the guy with the most value that's still left on the board. People are going to make mistakes. People are going to be stupid. They are going to play. They're going to play their leagues like a bunch of idiots. There's going to be a guy that's going to take Michael Vick number one. There's going to be a guy that's going to take. He's a fan of Tony Romo. He's going to take him as the first quarterback as opposed to over Philip Rivers. Okay, so be prepared for these mistakes, and when these mistakes happen, you're going to have a guy that's going to drop to you, maybe even a whole round after he should have gone. So you need to pick up these guys that have the value that's still there, and that'll create the best team for you, either through trade, waivers, whatever you got to do. When you have a lot of value in your team, you're gonna have a lot of trade value. You're gonna have a lot of quality players. So get your ADP chart, take the players that weren't drafted at their intended spots and they've fallen a lot lower. Get those players, you will prevail. Okay. And that is the first segment of the fantasy football 5-minute fantasy football guy. Follow me on Twitter. DeMargo28 is my Twitter account. So follow me. There'll be more updates there. And you guys have a good draft. Talk to you soon.